All right, we're on the first page of today's lesson, so we're going to draw an angle here. PQR with an interior. Interior means inside but not the middle. So if you see the word interior, offset it so you do not confuse yourself. And when you have an interior ray, this is true. Little angle plus little angle equals big angle. That's also true when you have a bisector. Little angles add up to big angles. But when you have a bisector, you have something else that is also true. So your bisector, same angle, PQR, out loud, question. Have I drawn a bisector?
No.
No.
Tell a neighbor, what do I have to add to make sure that's a bisector?
You just find
A little.
Yeah, super important, guys, and this is going to be on the exit ticket today, hint, hint. If you see the word bisector for angles, you must have sweep, hatch, sweep, hatch. Your first bisector gets one hatch, your second bisector gets two hatches, etc. If you don't have hatch marks, you do not have a bisector. And in this case, because they are congruent, you could be rocking angle equals angle. We're going to do a cycle of 3 problems. I am going to give you 1 minute each. I do not actually anticipate you finishing in a minute. I just want to see how far you can go in a minute. The only thing I don't want to see is you staring at the screen and doing nothing for a minute. So feverishly work as fast as you can, as far as you can, for 1 minute. Go. 1 minute on this first problem. As fast as you can, as feverishly as you can. That means with great energy. Like a fever. You may or may not have finished. Let's see how far you got. All right. So, I am going to be calling on individuals. And if I call on you folks and you don't understand something, I don't want you to be terrified. I'm going to give you a phrase so it's not as paranoid, okay? If you don't understand something or you don't understand my question, you simply say, Miss Way, help me with that. And I'll walk you through the process, and it's no big deal. All right, so let's start. First off, only about half of you read with your fingers on the paper. Let's get in the habit of reading. We are given LMN, and you have a bisector, Q, sweep. Okay, how many of you at least drew that correct? Thumbs up. You got that so far? Bisector. Got it. Now I'm going to color code it. LMQ, trace, and sweep is 50 minus 2x. Got that one taken care of. And then this one is taken care of. QMN is 4x minus 4. And you're like, I don't know what it adds up to. So I can't use the left. I have to use the right, which is my thing equation is angle equals angle. So we have here, let's just double check that, 4x minus 4x equals 9. How many of you got that far? Thumbs up, you got 9. There, that's at 54 equals 6x. Plug it in, 2 times 9, that makes this 18. 50 minus 40, 32. How many of you got the 32 and 32? You got that far? That far? Okay, about 3/4 of you. And this is the one that people tend to overlook. How many of you, with thumbs up, you actually got and wrote down the 64? Wrote down the 64. All right, I want you to think, if this was a test, think what one little piece of this might have been a sticky point for you. Tell a neighbor, what might have been a sticky point? Go. Yeah. Some of you are still not in the habit of finding everything. It's like you solve for X and you still think, warning guys, you're going to see this little symbol more and more. That symbol means find everything possible. Am I going to tell you what to find? Absolutely not. Because it's a different kind of thinking. It's called divergent thinking. Go like this with your hands. Push outward and say divergent. Divergent. Go like this, say convergent. Convergent. Convergent thinking is when teachers tell you, find X. And you're being forced to go like this by focusing on a single item and find one thinking. That's called convergent. It's fine. You've been doing it for years. The problem is most of you are not comfortable when I don't give you boundaries and the thinking goes outward like this, like I got to find this and this, and I don't even tell you where the walls are. And that's annoying. But most of life is solved with divergent thinking. It's more like a brainstorming process than it is, let's go find the singular answer. So that's why I'm training you that way. Let's try another one. Put your finger right there, kiddos. Finger on, whoops, I meant highlighter. Go. You've got a minute to go as far as you can. Okay, not done totally. Okay, let's just see how far you got. And we'll take it step by step here. Obtuse, so that means bigger than 90 degrees. And we have D, E, F. How many of you at least drew the angle obtuse? Thumbs up. Did you get that far? Got it. And you have a bisector, EQ. Here's Q, which means you should have sweep, sweep, one hatch mark. We are done with that. Trace and sweep, DEQ. So I'm going to switch colors, DEQ, trace and sweep. And we are now rocking a bisector there. And it is ER, sweep, sweep, double hatch. Second bisector requires a double hatch. Took care of that. Then says right here, draw another ray bisecting REQ. So right here, if you'd kind of flipped everything the other direction, that's totally okay. You lefties will tend to draw completely opposite of me. So if all of this information is over on the right because your D is on the right, that's perfectly fine. And then this is being bisected with a T. And now we have triple hatch marks because it's my third bisector. The only thing you are told is that RET, which is this guy right here, is 18. Okay? Ready? Folks, I'm going to start calling on people. So that other green angle, Taylor, is what now? 18 it is. All right. And now coming this way, the yellow angle, Junio, is what, sir? 36. Fabulous. Coming over this way, orange angle. Jamie, what would the orange angle have to be, ma'am? 36 as well because of the bisector. What are we rocking here? Let's do the blue angle. The big blue angle, Courtney, would be what, ma'am?
72.
Okay, which is, what did we add to get 72, Courtney? Exactly, we got a 72. Lovely. Coming over here, this green highlight, Natalie, is what, ma'am? 72. Fabulous. Donovan, what are we rocking here? The really big one. 144. Scale of 1 to 3. 1 being, Miss Way, I started, but I didn't really get any numbers. 3 being, I have everything you have, Miss Way. How far did you get? Show me. How far did you get? That's fine. Okay, you 1s and 2s, tell a neighbor, what is it you might have overlooked if you did this problem on your own? Go. What is it you might have overlooked if you did this problem on your own? Alrighty, guys, last round, turn the page. Your favorite thing. I do not want you to be intimidated by these. Given, implied, freebies, talk through. Given, implied, freebies, talk through. So when I start the minute, the number one thing you do is you mark the givens on the diagram. Then you mark what's implied. Big hint. Little angles add up to big angles. That's like a true statement. That's a freebie. Talk through, mumble to yourself. If the given's true, how could I get the proofs to be true? Mumble that. I should hear you mumbling at some point. Do the best you can, as fast as you can, for 1 minute. I promise I'll go over it. Go. Okay, time stops. Look up here, folks. Repeat after me. Say, no naked diagrams. Okay, I'm winding around at least half of you. You are going immediately for those blanks, and your diagram has not even been what I call dressed up. Okay? You must start with the diagram before you go for those blanks. That's super important. All right, go back, dress up the diagram. For this one, I'll give you 2 minutes. I'm going to add an extra minute because I think you need that to really think it through. So things like angle addition, substitution, subtraction property, that kind of stuff. All right, let's compare notes here, friends. Taking a look up here. Given, implied, freebies, talk through. So our given information, you should have marked 1 and 3 equal with 1 hatch mark. And again, if you have colors, I usually find those helpful. 2 and 4, you should have double hatch marks since that's your second set. So there is the given. Implied and freebies usually go together. What's implied is that little angle plus little angle equals big angle, right? So just kind of make yourself a little note. Is that a true statement? Yeah. There's no bisectors there, but you can at least say that. So that's an example of what I would consider a freebie. It's a true statement, but it's not in the given. Now, I want to hear you have a short 10-second discussion, show and tell style, which means you hold the paper up and finger on the paper, and the show and tell is this. If the blues are equal and the greens are equal, how on earth is it logical that these red angles, these guys, the big ones, are equal? Short, 10-second discussion, show and tell, point on the papers, go, talk. Finger on the paper, talk it through. Talk, kiddos, show and tell. No. Show and tell. I want you to hold up the papers. I want your fingers on the paper, friends. Kenzie, did you get a chance to do show and tell?
No.
Then Aiden, give Kenzie an audience. Alrighty. In your show and tell, at some point, did you say little angles add up to big angles?
Yes.
Okay, most likely you're like, well, the blues and the greens add up to the reds, so that's probably part of your dialogue, and that's where we're going. All right, I'm going to ask a question, count to 5, and then I'm going to land on someone. And this is where, if you don't understand, Miss Way, help me out. It's no big deal. So question number 1, where did this information come from? I'm sorry, watch the hand, kiddos. I'm going to actually call on people. So one more time. Where Jamie, where'd it come from?
Given.
Yes, so there we go. So, given. Taking a look here. What is that? 5 seconds?
6.
Kenzie, what is number 2?
I don't know.
Okay, the phrase is Miss Way, help me out.
Miss Way, help me out.
Fabulous. Do you see that word given? Good. Can you put your finger on that word given? Now come up here, put your finger on that word given. We've already used that. So what's the only thing left?
The one underneath it.
Which reads measure angle.
2 equals measure angle.
Great. Then that's what goes here. Measure angle 2 equals measure angle 4. We are good to go there. Taking a look up here, number 3. Ask yourself, why is that true? 5 seconds.
Addition problem.
Okay. 5 seconds. Watch the hand, folks. I'm counting down. Evan, what do you think?
Segment addition.
Almost. It is addition, but are we adding segments or angles? Angles. So taking a look here, we said that these 2 angles add up to the big guy, so that is going to be angle addition. And then you are left with a giant empty space, which is a little annoying. Let's see what we need to talk about. We talked about the red angle EYG. Do you see that? Okay. Obviously, we need to hit our target down here, HZK. We have several ways we could go here with this. We cannot cook with HZK until we get it out of the fridge, which means say something true. Here's the question for number 4. What is a true statement I can make about that angle? Totally true. And I don't have to do anything with it. 5. Taylor, what's a totally true statement I can make about that?
Me?
DeSantis, excuse me.
I was
Yes.
like,
You're right. You are DeSantis. She's Taylor.
Measure angle 1 plus measure angle 2 equals measure angle 3 plus measure angle 4.
We're not quite there. Do you see? I'll help you out. Ready? Do you see we talked about EYG already?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's EYG. Here we got it out of the fridge. Here we're cooking with it. Do you understand my analogy? Here we have HCK out of the fridge.
Oh, so
When we're cooking, but we don't have it out of the fridge.
okay, so we're gonna do HZK equals Measure angle 3 plus.
Now that's a totally true statement. Absolutely. Lucas, what do we call that? Little angles added to big angles?
Angle odd.
Angle addition. Yes. Going this way. All right. So somehow we have to connect these two little beasts. So you ask yourself not what should I do, but what can I do? Look very, very carefully. Do you see angle 1? Okay, come up here. Do you see angle 1? Maya, I could swap out angle 1 and put what in its place? Good. And do you see angle 2, friends? Okay. May, I can swap. Oh, that's the only thing we need to actually swap out, and it works. No, May, I could swap out angle 2 and put what in its place, ma'am?
Angle 4.
Yes, so we're going to do that. Watch what we're doing here. Measure angle EYG. I'm now swapping out the 1 and putting in the 3, swapping out the 2 and putting in the 4. Swapping those out, putting those in. Aiden, what do we call that?
Substitution.
It is. And what lines did we smash together to get that? That's a little bit trickier, sir.
4 and 5. Or 3 and 4.
Almost. We definitely use 3. And where did we swap out the 1 with?
1.
With 3. So lines 1, 2, and 3. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Okay. Look very, very carefully in steps 4 and 5. Very, 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 very carefully. Very carefully. Jack, what is exactly the same now in steps 4 and 5? What's exactly the same? Measure angle.
Measure angle 3 plus measure angle 4.
And guys, go like this. If they're exactly the same, that's your connector piece. That's your connector piece, which allows us to say these guys are exactly the same. And substitution. Substitution, and we use lines 4 and 5. All right. Because you just did this, I'd like everyone to bounce over immediately to this page. And I want you to follow the same gift process now that it's fresh in your brain. Do this one all by your lonesome. Then go check your work. If your answer is different than mine, call me over because there's actually more than one way to do this. And I just didn't have the time to write every variation. Given, implied, freebies, talk through. Everyone work on this page. Given, implied, freebies, talk through.